You're listening to the Caramel Apples podcast, the apple snack that brings you a retro vibe, both crunchy and sweet, with your hosts, Kennedy Rizzo and Cooper Lee.
It's back to school time. Back when we were school kids, you would hear or see those words splashed across many a retailer ad or scrolling across the television as a constant reminder of what was to come in a few short weeks. I don't know, Coop. That used to frustrate me so very bad because they'd cut into your summer fun doing this.
They really did. And it felt like, because you didn't like it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like that constant reminder. Like you're sitting there having a good time, and then they're tapping on your shoulder, like, remember us? Oh, yeah, it's like, no.
Yeah, but I'm sure some kids loved hearing those same words, back to school.
Yeah.
Which is hard to really believe, but not for me personally. I felt quite the opposite. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I agree with you. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I adored and cherished summer, so I was a special case anyway, special class. So I don't know. I just enjoyed the freedom of summer and all that good stuff. What about you, Coop?
Well, I would say that I'm not, like, okay, I had to have the sun and stuff because I know you're a big fan of that.
Yeah.
I know that added to the love of the whole season. But for me, it was nice just to be away from school. So if that had been in the fall, I would have been just as happy, happier actually, because I love the fall. But yeah, summertime just meant you didn't have to think about homework. You didn't have to think about anything that was just not fun.
Yeah. And again, anything for us connected to school was in that category. But when you think about back to school, when you sit there and you really do think about this, a wash of old emotions and memories come flooding back.
Yeah.
I can think of, like, when you first walk in the building, you can think of the smell. You can smell the newly painted walls and the freshly polished floors all over the wooden floors, and
Yeah.
same with the playground equipment, freshly painted, brand new mulch and all that.
Playground equipment. What is that?
Yeah, kids probably don't know that much anymore, except for the little wee things.
Yeah, it's like they just kind of slowly disappeared from schools, I think. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and you know what? On the playground tip, our playgrounds were pretty big. When you were a kid, they were huge.
They were. And I remember specifically at our elementary school, the smaller kids, and I don't know, it might have been this way across the board, but it was like the smaller kids were excited when they got old enough to go to the big side of the playground. The big kids were
that.
over here. And
Yeah,
I remember personally feeling that way because my sister was over there and I was excited. I wanted to be able to go over there and play.
You waving, right?
Yeah. Right at the very edge. Hi.
Yeah. And in recent years, like, we're child free, thankfully, but we don't have the, other than what you observe when you drive by. But it seems like playgrounds have shrunk.
Right.
And they're much smaller than what we had and what we remembered. So that's kind of interesting. And I know we used to get 2 or 3 recess breaks during our school day.
Yes, we did.
It was, always a treat to go outside for gym class if the weather permitted.
Now, do you remember they used to blow a whistle for the kids to line up?
I do.
You better come running. Get in line.
That's right. Yeah, just learning those practical skills to behave ourselves. Trying to.
Constantly a work in progress there.
Yeah.
But I
And,
remember loving Inside Recess.
oh,
I really liked it because I like rainy days, and I don't know, just something about it being a little kid looking out, and it was stormy weather, and you're inside, you can play with the puzzle or do whatever. I liked Inside Recess.
oh, cool. And that's back when, when it did rain, it was a nice, probably a soft rain, maybe a little bit of thunder and lightning, but
Yes.
nothing like it is now. I mean, if it rains, it's a monsoon.
Right.
So you're like, hold on to your hats. But like school was fun too, because there was like, you could tell they were trying to figure out what all these little students, what were they going to gravitate to?
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
were they going to be into art? Were they going to be into music? Were we going to have genius mathematicians and spellers? And
That would be interesting as a teacher to kind of see as children start to grow,
yeah,
you know, like from like you were mentioning first day into school, how does that kid change by the end of school that year?
yeah,
That would be interesting as a teacher.
yeah, yeah. And we actually had books in school. I mean, like we actually had assigned books, and we'd have them all year. We'd write our names in the front,
Yes.
and then you'd make those homemade book covers from like old wrapping paper or paper bags from the store, which is gone away the dodo. You could put your name
Yes.
or design them the way you wanted, and
Absolutely. And do you remember like when we would have milk break, and I think did we have milk break all the way through third grade?
I remember. I don't remember milk break really in second grade. I know it
Okay.
was in kindergarten
Yes, for
and
sure.
first grade.
For sure. Yes. And I know for sure in kindergarten we had little rugs you'd go and get so you could take a little nap time.
Yep. Uh huh.
Yep, because they're like these little people, they need a break.
That's right. We were
Making
making
friends
our
is
warm.
hard.
Yeah, we were making our warm fuzzies and our cold pricklies. You see.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
But then you think about the school supplies and stuff. That was fun too when we went school shopping, because you'd have to have your little school boxes and your pencils and crayons, like you mentioned
Yeah.
before. And you got erasers. You can make it fun. Get flavored erasers or scented erasers.
Yes, you could. And
Glue.
glue, yes. For some kids that equaled a snack.
Every class.
It's like, what is wrong with this picture? But, it is what it is. And we look back and laugh. But yeah, school just definitely had a feel to it. And even though you think about it now and it was like, man, at the time it was drudgery, but we can look back on it now and you can remember some things fondly, like, yeah,
Hmm.
that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Cafeteria school lunch was not one of them. By no stretch of the imagination. It sufficed.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Hey, Coop, don't you remember? It seemed like every class there was always some kid, and you felt sorry for him because it's like they can't help they didn't feel good. But somebody was always puking in class. Somebody was always throwing up
Yes, there
or
was
throwing
the
up on the
puke kid.
playground.
Yes, and then they get that stuff. Remember, if they threw up in class or in the hallway, they get that sawdust or whatever it was, and they put it on there.
Yes.
That just kind of melted with the smell, and it just lingered. Oh my goodness, it was horrible.
Oh my goodness. All the joys of elementary and middle school, right?
Yes.
Now, then you think about the teachers. You think about there were good teachers and there were bad teachers. Not
Mhm.
bad teachers, but ones that weren't quite your favorite.
Yeah.
And, you can think of some real pivotal connections that you made as a student between a student and teacher. And, like, again, some not so, you didn't connect with some of them. They were just not, you didn't gel.
And I wonder if it did it have something to do with the subject they were teaching too, like because you didn't really care for the subject, so then you're kind of like, well, I don't really care for you.
Could have been because I hated math, and a couple of those names went under that veil.
What? You hated math?
I
What a
did.
coincidence. So did I.
Did you?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I mean, math was fine up through division, but then when you start to get into like uh decimal points and fractions and measurements, oh yeah, no, let's not go down that road.
Yeah, but there was when we were talking about this the other day, there was something you said you remembered about math class. What was it that you thought was fun?
It was cool. It was called the Mad Minute.
Mad Minute.
Yeah, and you had a minute and it had like a row, like there's three different rows and there'd be like maybe 10 across. There's probably like 30 problems, and it was like simple addition, simple multiplication, whatever, and you had a minute to get down as many as you could, and you had to have them face down, and then you would turn them over when they said go. You turn them over real quick, and then you're doing as quick as you can.
Yeah.
That was It was nice because I mean it really started drilling into your head.
Right.
These simple equations that you shouldn't have a problem if somebody asked you what 7 times 7 is, you should just kind of know. So, practicing that, I just don't remember if it was every day. For some reason, I'm kind of thinking it was, but it's been a minute since that happened. So
A Mad Minute.
it's been a mad minute since a mad minute. Exactly. Yes.
And something else I remember about school was the dreaded school pictures every year. They give you those cheap little black combs, to help fix you up a little before you went and did your little pose.
Those were the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd all go down as a class.
Yep.
And yeah, you'd stand there and wait, take your turn. They'd get you all set up and, the backgrounds. I think it got to a point where you could start picking the backgrounds you wanted. It may
Okay.
have been in the package or whatever, but yeah, like there was some that had like laser lights behind you.
Oh boy.
Neon laser lights. Um, I remember like there was kind that made you look like you were in the woods, and then there was always that one picture where it was like a silhouette of yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, welcome to the 70s and 80s.
Exactly. Thanks.
Very retro.
Glad to be here, ready to go.
Now, I too remember real quick about like some of the murals and stuff that they had on the wall. I think they had a lot of Disney characters in our elementary school.
Yes, they did.
And one of the ones I was really drawn to, I remember there was Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. Wasn't they on the wall there?
Yes.
Okay. And I remember the Aristocats. I loved them.
Yeah, they were cool.
Yeah, the little singing band, the band that was in Aristocats. Yeah. Now,
See, that shows it was in that time frame because that was still an older cartoon even then.
yes.
But yet it was on our wall. So kids are probably like, "Who?" Now kids, what?
Now, something else that's old school that we remember that I don't know because we don't have kids now and we haven't really talked to anybody that does, that there was actual corporal punishment when we went to class.
Yes.
Um, and I mean, we got punished at home, we got spankings if we were bad or we got sent to the corner, timeout, all that. We were punished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we just tried not to be bad kids. We were kids, but we tried not to be bad kids. But what would happen to the bad kids at the time, and this was pretty universal across the board at most schools, the teacher got sick of it. They'd send them down to the principal's office if they didn't lose a recess first.
Right.
And there was always that looming, hey, they might get paddled.
Yes.
And that would terrify you. You did not want to get paddled. That was like the epitome. That was the low point.
Right. And remember, they would have the build up. You'd have to sit on the bench.
Yes, which I
outside
did.
of the principal's class or principal's office. Yeah. So then anybody who walked by, there was the shame that you were sitting on the principal's bench.
Right.
What did you do?
Oh, the horror. Okay. So
Yeah.
one more thing, a couple more things before we wrap up our apple snack. in elementary school, we were fortunate enough to our mom picked us up a lot, but we were in walking distance of our home
Yes.
from school, so we were just really merely a few blocks from our elementary school, which was nice.
Yeah.
But when we transferred out to middle school, we're in a rural area anyway. We had to actually get on the bus. So that was our first experience outside of field trips of getting on the bus and having to commute to school.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it was kind of cool, it was neat. I mean, the school bus, it's just different.
Right. And I think even back then, like when you got on the bus and you saw the school bus driver, in your mind, you're like adult, I have to
Yes.
listen to them. They are the one in charge. I think that's kind of changed these days. I don't know if it's because of the way they're depicted in school, or not in school, but like on TV and stuff. I don't know if they kind of have control of their buses. I don't really know how that works now. It would be interesting to find out. But I think just back when we were younger, adults, you saw them that way as authority figures, and you just knew to behave yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We should inquire of our orchard archivers. If you guys are current parents now or grandparents or a guardian. I mean, what's it like now? I mean, what is the general feel in schools? I mean, we know we're in the middle of a pandemic right now, so you may or may not be doing homeschooling or virtual learning. But if you are sending your kids or grandkids to public school again,
Yeah.
what is protocol now? What really is going on out there? Do you agree with it? Give us a little insight on that, because we're talking about when we went to school. That was back when.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
Oh goodness, this was a cool subject today, wasn't it, Coop?
And I know we could go on forever about it. Yeah.
Okay, so quick question for you, Coop, and you Orchard archivers. Give this some thought. But what would be the advice you would give to your younger self if you could go back and redo anything based on your previous experience? What would you change?
Well, I think I would have spent more time developing my art skills.
Okay,
Loved art. I just wish I would have pursued that more.
okay, okay.
What about you?
I would pay attention to everything. I would go to school in the morning and I would just daydream about 3 o'clock because I would invest in my education. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Yeah. Realize that you're doing this for a reason, not just for mom to get you out of the house for a few hours.
Exactly. So yeah, we do have our fond memories and stuff, but yeah, if there was a big life rewind button, oh wow,
Yeah.
talk about punching it. But anyway, well,
Yeah.
I think that's all the time we got for this week's Apple Snack. I think it's kind of neat to sit there and think about, a lot of things that we remember from yesteryear. But school was one of those that was kind of like, I think it's split right down the middle. Did you enjoy it? Do you remember it well, or is it, not everybody has warm fuzzy feelings about it. Like what did you think of school, kind of thing.
Right. And I do think too, everybody would have some sort of experience because I think most people have gone to school.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So it was a nice, interesting topic. I'm glad you thought about it.
Yeah, and join us next time for another interesting retro topic. We got a stack of them waiting for you.
And that's it for this week's Apple Snack. But as you know, there's always more where that came from. So stay tuned. Subscribe, review, and spread the word. See you next time in the Retro Orchard, and thanks so much for listening.